Hello and welcome to Sports and Stuff Show with your host Patrick Haggerty. I'm here with guest, one of the funniest guys in New York City. He hosts his own podcast, What About Robbie, which is great. He's also an all-around funny guy, all-around really good, cool dude. Robbie Goodwin.
Oh, that was a great intro. Thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Usually I have Louis J. Gomez going, this next guy's a loser. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
You're a loser to Luis Gomez.
Right, yeah. You know what? Yeah. I'm going to start I don't know. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say. Yeah, thank you. But I appreciate that I'm with someone who will not say that to me.
Yeah, right.
Who said just a bunch of nice things before he introduced me.
Yeah, definitely. You're a very cool guy, and you have the ability and the confidence to be a jerk off.
Yes.
But you're not.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Which I think it to my chagrin. I think if you're a jerk off, you get guest spots at the stand.
Yeah. I think you'd be better off if you were a little bit more.
It might work more in my favor if I was like, what do you do? And they're like, oh, this guy must have something going on if he's acting like a dickhead to me.
Right. Yeah. He must be. Yeah. You have a way of standing, which it seems like you're gonna be a jerk off, but then you're not.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like?
Well, even I think when I first met you, not anymore.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Where it's like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be really confident and kind of be a douche.
Yeah.
And I'll even mention this because he's not a douche anymore, but like a Lev Fur.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Who used to be a douche.
Yeah.
Anymore. But you had that kind of like air about you, but then you would always be like, well, you're kind of a nerd also.
Yeah, I'm very dorky.
So you go right into the dorkiness.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Yeah. Lev and I'm kind of like the Sonic to Lev's shadow.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
But this is a sports show. We have a San Francisco boy.
Oh yeah,
here.
Go Dubs, Dub Nation, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a Bay Area.
Bang Bang Niner gang.
Yeah. So where is Where did the Warriors play?
The Warriors. So when I was growing up, they played in Oakland, right next to where the A's played. Actually, they had the side by side stadiums. But they moved to once they actually were good. Like once the Steph Curry era came in, they moved the stadium to San Francisco, like the actual city itself.
It's in San Francisco.
Yeah. Now they play in Chase Center. Right. Before that, it was Oracle. People called it Roracle. Those games were really fun because for most of my life, my dad was like a hardcore Warriors fan, and they were mostly terrible but he still was like such a big fan and stuff. Yeah. Like he would like be like, I don't know. He'd always just like talk out like Latrell Sprewell and stuff like that, and so when the Warriors being good, the fans were super into it and like super. I mean, it was amazing. It was like the first. It was the first like true dynasty kind of team.
Yeah.
And but then they moved to San Francisco, and I like the new stadium. I haven't been to as many games there, but I've been to a couple. But people say it's like a lot of like rich people basically, like tech people and stuff now. But
and that's usually what they do. They usually move stadiums to where the rich people are.
Yeah, but the food is way better. I'll say that.
Yeah,
much better.
Mm-hmm.
And
nice.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's like a really nice state. Like
it's in San Francisco, so it's well decorated.
Yeah,
because of all the gay people.
Yeah. They're like, let's fix up this messy stadium. Ew, around too many black people. Let's go to the city.
Can we bedazzle the basketball? I think that would be nice.
Let's make the Jumbotron really... Oh, I do love the Jumbo. It's the biggest Jumbotron I've ever seen, which is cool.
That's awesome.
Because the main fun... So I think Matt might have mentioned this, but because I listened to your guys' episode.
Oh, yeah.
But me and him have like a bit about how... it's a bit everyone does, but we love to do it, where it's like... Just like saying like white players in the NBA, like, oh, that's a high IQ player, great fundamentals, plays a classy game of basketball.
Right.
And we made that joke a lot. And then after the Warriors lost to Denver this year, and like it was a brutal game winner thing, one guy in the comments was like, here's the difference between Nikola Jokic and Steph Curry. He plays the game the right way. Nikola Jokic is a big white guy. Right. He's like, he plays a white, he doesn't do any shimmies. He's not playing for the Jumbotron, just a real classy player.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't believe I saw one of these real comments in the wild.
It is real. I mean, you guys are going overboard with it, which is the joke, obviously.
Yeah.
It is also, that's what people say.
It's huge, and I would say it's bigger in it's like older basketball fans and like almost every football fan.
Basketball has gone so far away from white players
Yeah,
that it's
yeah.
hard for it to actually be a real talking point.
I
But
agree.
in football, there's enough. There's certain positions that are still predominantly white.
Yeah.
And then even in the not so predominantly white positions, there's still plenty of white players.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say it's a little bit more like football's just really mainstream. It's just like it's across the political spectrum watches it,
Right.
or even leans a little conservative. But yeah, it is funny, dude. I was watching some because I don't watch like a ton of football. Like I basically was telling you, I was watching the playoffs that the Niners are in it basically. But it is funny because I was a little jarred, but I was like, why are there like 6 color commentators? And I realized they needed to have like 4 old white guys in there and then like 2 black guys on the flanks being like, yep, that's right.
yeah.
It was like, we can't have half and half black and white. So let's do 4 white guys and then 2.
On this broadcast,
Yeah.
and on the other one, it'll be 4 black guys.
Yeah,
and 2
yeah.
white guys.
That's yeah. Why are there so many people in their like?
Well, I guess there's just a lot of more players, so there's more to do.
No, I mean in the middle part, like during the halftime, like the commentator guys.
So even
why
the
there's
middle?
6 people there? That's way too many people. I think.
I guess it has to do with it being so popular that they just are like, yeah, we got to fill this time.
Right.
And people, if we have Michael Strahan talk for 5 minutes total, and if we have Terry Bradshaw talk for 5 minutes total, then we can fill. I mean, the pregame shows and the halftime shows are so much longer than any other show.
That's true. Yeah.
Like NBA has it too. NBA is definitely number 2 in terms of the most significant pregame, postgame, halftime.
The post games are long for NBA,
yeah.
but I kind of like it. But the halftime is not as long. Yeah.
But it makes sense because it's the second most popular sport.
Yeah, for sure.
To football. Baseball has that stuff, but they know what they can get away with. They have a half-hour post game, and it's usually just like there's the host, and then there's a journalist or a reporter who's the other guy, and then they'll talk to the players a little bit. So they know that they can't get away with as big of a production as basketball and stuff like that. I guess part of that too is a lot of basketball is nationally televised. So like
it's like half.
Yeah,
I'd say a third of the games are national.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Which is a lot.
That's a lot. But Charles Barkley, he's on the national. What is he? TNT.
TNT, and only like half, but only like during the playoffs and like half the time. Like And every time he complains, it's very funny because every time he's like, "It's 12:49 a.m. I want to go to bed." Why is this show so long? Because it is such a long. Like the halftime is actually kind of quick, which is fine. But like the post game is they always interview they interview the players. They have a little back and forth, and then they have like an hour of just commentary on like that game and all the other games that happened and all that stuff.
Yeah, and people watch it.
Well, because Inside the NBA is my favorite show on TV. I like it more than the games actually. I think they're so fun.
Oh. Yeah, well,
Shaq and Charles Barkley are just like they have like great chemistry. Like I can't tell if they're friends or they'll get another fight.
Yeah, and they're funny. I mean,
they're funny.
I guess they lucked out, right? Maybe it's to do with the type of sport it is, but it's also just they lucked out. Shaq is like an actual celebrity.
Yeah.
So they have an actual celebrity who also is a basketball genius.
Right.
Talking about this stuff.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's like if there were. It's kind of like there were 2 O.J. Simpsons, and they were just on because O.J. was great. He was huge because he was good on TV, right?
Yeah, right. And but then he killed people. That's
a shame.
So the NFL would have had that same really affable, like high, like.
Well, he does it on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Hello, Twitter world. My Bills.
Hey, you know what?
My Bills lost again, and once again, what a heartbreaker. But
you know what? Time heals all wounds. So you never know. Maybe in a couple of years, he'll be doing the halftime show.
He went on a podcast recently just to talk about sports.
Really?
Yeah, and he was like, "Man, I guess I'll punch Ben Simmons if I met him." And they're like, "Juice, no."
Don't talk about violence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can't talk about violence.
But he was just goofing around.
Right. And if Shaq or Charles Barkley had said that, it would have been funny.
It would have been, yes. Yeah. It would have been, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was goofing just like that, if he
right.
was Shaq or Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Imagine if like Shaq killed somebody. That'd be crazy.
Right. You would have, but you'd think like, did he do it by accident? Because he's gigantic, so maybe he did it by accident.
That's probably what our dads felt like when OJ killed those people.
Right.
It's probably like what we would have felt if Shaq killed some. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He was a superstar. He was in movies and stuff.
Naked Gun. He's great in those.
Yeah, he is. Yes, I think that's the most prominent thing I remember about O.J. Simpson.
Have you watched that OJ doc on 30 for 30?
No.
It's amazing. It's like
Yeah.
literally one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. It's fantastic.
I mean, is it about his whole life?
Yeah, it's a full front to back early life through another Bay Area legend, O.J. Simpson. Everybody.
right. I think of you two in the same breath. a
Yeah,
lot.
thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
But he, just through the trial too, like from growing up through the trial.
Right. Oh yeah.
He won the Heisman. You know.
Yeah, he was a great football player. He was a dominant.
How much did he rush? Like
something like over 2,000 yards.
Something like that.
in
Yeah.
a season. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
This is a pro OJ podcast.
Right. Both Orange Juice and O.J. Simpson.
Yep.
Yeah. He was great celebrity. He was good. He was funny. So we're comedians.
Yeah,
and
I know.
And we're sports fans.
Yeah.
How can you not like? O.J.
How can you
Simpson?
not like OJ Simpson?
Yeah. Right. And he's bringing it back.
Family of the victims. How could you not like him?
Right. Yeah.
The Goldmans were putting you on blast.
Yeah. Or he couldn't have done it though. The glove didn't fit.
Yeah, I think there's that. Have you heard that conspiracy theory? It's his son.
I have heard that, yeah. And even didn't the I watched the docu-series, I guess it is, and they kind of even allude to that possibility, right? That his son was somewhere or nowhere to be seen or something like that.
Yeah, there's something about like his son was also very mentally unstable and
Right.
like wrote stuff about wanting to kill his mom or whatever, which
Yeah.
you do when you're like a teenager, you know.
Right.
You're just like, I'm Eminem. I hate my mom, you know,
yeah,
whatever.
and I heard that the part of the conspiracy is that
OJ's covering. Yeah, basically,
yeah. Which, hey, I'd do the same thing. You know what?
Yeah, who wouldn't take a bullet for their child?
Yeah,
you know?
OJ's sounding better and better.
He might be a saint.
Saint OJ. Saint.
He is fun to watch on those. Hello, Twitter world.
Oh yeah. He's. I mean, what was the sports show that he was on? Was it some that you said that he was?
Oh, it was. I think it was Cameron's podcast, which he just talks about sports sometimes on it.
And the thing is, it's spreading out so much. You know, it used to be Fox and CBS, and that was it. Now you got Peacock and Paramount and all these things. They're gonna need a color commentator. You know.
Yeah.
Eventually, OJ's.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, there's no one else.
OJ's gonna be on Crackle when they live stream like the U.S. Open or something.
Crackle.
Everyone got mad with that Peacock thing when they streamed the playoffs exclusively on Peacock.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a shame. It's terrible.
What are they going to do? Because I actually read something that all the major corporations are like going to band together to just make one streaming service for all sports, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, so this is just cable again?
Cable.
It's just cable again.
Eventually, there will be something where it just they have another name for it, but it basically is just cable.
Which I would rather have that because I would much rather have that because like right now like I watch a lot of national NBA games and it's like ABC, TNT, and ESPN, all three different. I'm using my dad's cable login.
Yep.
And I have to like keep logging in and out, and, like texting my dad like, "Hey, did you get the code?" Or you know,
Yeah.
It's just such a fucking hassle. And I just want to watch the game. It's like,
Well,
just give me a streaming service.
Yeah,
because there's no streaming services for it. You need like a fucking cable, whatever.
Yeah, you need a login, which is what we do. Also, we use Alexis's parents' things also. So yeah, it would be nice if there was something. I know Yes Network kind of has it. It's $25.
What the fuck is the Yes Network? Can you tell me?
It's a network. It's called the Yankees Entertainment and Sports.
Okay, because that's where the Nets games are on.
Right.
too.
Yeah. They're in the entertainment and.
Okay, I was wondering what the hell that was. I was like, I've never heard of the Yes Network in my life. Okay,
and that's where that is where the Nets play, which is bizarre when you're watching like something like a Yes coverage about the off seaseason.
Yeah,
and then they talk about also next is the Nets game.
That's like, so funny.
It's a very bizarre combination.
It just feels like some like rant just a way to bring in money.
Yeah,
but it doesn't fit with the rest of the programming.
Right, but I guess also the Nets just couldn't stand on their own 2 feet.
Oh, I get it. So
like
it's
they kind of need
the Yes Network to carry them.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because I don't get New York games because I'm using my dad's league pass. I basically just mooch off my dad's logins.
Sure.
So I use my dad's league pass, but they don't let you watch New York games.
Right.
Because it's local. So and to watch Knicks games, you have to get the MSG network. I'm like, what the fuck is on there?
Yeah.
And then if you want to watch the Nets, it's on the Yes. I'm like, I've never heard of either of these streaming services. I don't know what the hell else is on them. I'm not paying like $20 a month to watch two teams' games. You know?
Right. Yeah. Well, and the MSG is even worse.
Is that just the Knicks?
Some types. Well, it's the Knicks and the Rangers.
Oh, okay.
And I think the Islanders.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So actually, the MSG would be good if MSG
they
was,
should merge.
That
I might
all
pay
merge.
for.
Yeah.
I would maybe
like
pay
a
for
New York sports app.
Yes. That would make a little more sense because I like watching New York games. And stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love that. And even it's really shitty when what you were just talking about, where if you got like a league pass or baseball, it's like MLB, whatever. It's the same idea. You pay a price for the whole year. I think it's like $160.
Something like that. Yeah.
Which is like nothing, but you don't get the team that you actually want to watch.
It's so funny. Yeah. I mean, it's great for me because I'm out of my time. I don't live here, but I still like. I really on the East Coast. I root for the New York teams, or in the Eastern Conference, I usually root for all the New York teams. So it does suck that I'm like. Well, it sucks that like the city that I've lived in for the second most amount of time in my life, I can't watch like any of the fucking games.
Yeah, and that's sometimes. Why wouldn't they want someone who lives locally? It's like, well, I don't want to pay for cable, but I'll pay this also fairly premium price to do that to get this.
Yeah, and what sucks is also for the Warriors too. They also don't let you watch national games, and the Warriors have a ton of because they get a lot of ratings. So there's just like a shitload of. It's just like if you root for a team that's good or like people watch. Or a local team, like that shit is just completely useless.
Yeah, right. Because then you'd have to get ESPN and somehow figure out a way to
watch
TNT.
It's like I'll just go get drunk at a bar and watch it. I'll just try and find a bar that shows us.
Right. Yeah. But then you factor the price for that.
I know.
And you realize that you probably should just pay for it.
And then you're hungover the next day.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, if I'm at a bar, I might as well do it.
Yeah, you're like eating like $30 worth of wings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is worth it.
Yeah, I'm not paying for the MSG app. You're like ordering like $60 worth of appetizers.
Right. Yeah, you're paying what you'd pay for the app for the entire year on apps.
On apps.
Hey.
Hey-o. That's why we make the big bucks.
That is true. But speaking of basketball, we had this is actually bringing it back to talk about some shit talking that happened on a previous show.
Oh, well, let's look at the standings right now.
Yeah, we should look at the standings.
Oh, are they third again?
They're tied for third.
God damn it. Because I saw the Cavs surge.
Yeah.
Because we beat the Sixers again. Both times you got in third was because the Warriors beat the Sixers.
Warriors.
But by the way, all right, first of all, when I said that,
yeah.
And to clarify, I made fun of Pat on an Amazon show. I mean, I just brought it up because we just talked about like the night before I went on that show.
Yeah.
And you said the Knicks were third in the East, and I kind of was a dick about it. I was like, third in the, come on. Which at the time was the right thing to do.
I don't know.
Because the other teams, it was like, the East looked a little better before the season actually started. But in my defense, the Knicks didn't get third in the East good until a trade. I didn't know that trade was coming, and actually now they look really good. They just did a ton of good trades today.
Yeah, the Knicks did.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did they get?
A lot of just good role players and stuff. They got the guy from the Pistons who looks like a middle-aged man, Bogdanovich, I think his name is. He's good. He's really good. He'll be a good like reserve for Randall.
Yeah. Well, what you said on the show was that I said, and what you said now is that I said that the Knicks are the third best team in the East, right? That's
I meant third in the stand. Well, the season hadn't started yet, and we were making. Whoops.
And
you were saying as things stand now, the Knicks are probably third in the East.
So what? And if I did say that, then I'd be looking very smart right now. But what I actually said, and it's still in that same vein, what I said is that you have the Celtics and the Bucks are 1 and 2, and then any team could be 3. And
which was actually which was actually even an even better take.
Yeah,
I was just trying to be funny. I'll be honest,
which is fair. But and I'll stand by what you said that I said because the Knicks
it literally you look like Nostradamus.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, see, of course.
And like now they might literally be title contenders, so that is amazing.
Yeah. Like they're tied for second most wins in the East right now. So
I mean, I think them and the Cavs are like kind of.
They're both surging. Like you said, the Cavs are surging.
I think the Knicks might they're really deep, like because of these trades today. They're like insanely deep. I think they're gonna make the Eastern Conference Finals because of how well they look good. Celtics just like. they on paper are great and they win a lot, but there's an X factor missing.
They've been choke artists, right? The past few years because they lost the Heat last year, like, so they kind of have been really great in the regular season.
Yeah,
and then they figure out a way to lose.
Yeah, I think it's like a coaching thing. Have you seen the Celtics coach? He always looks like confused and autistic. He's always like he's always like bug-eyed and like looking around. He's 35 years old. It's like, what? It's like, why don't you get a different guy?
Right.
And it's just because he keeps winning. It's like, well, we can't fire him, I guess. But
and eventually they will if they keep losing.
If they lose early in the playoffs again,
they can fire.
And in his defense, the Heat just like ran through everybody last year. So
because they lost in the second round I
think it was the conference finals.
It was the conference finals, right? The Celtics made it to the conference finals.
Yeah, the Sixers lost in a very embarrassing way, and then they beat the Celtics, and that was less embarrassing because they beat everybody. They beat Joel Embiid.
They beat the Knicks too. The Heat beat the Knicks.
I know the Knicks didn't put up as good of a fight though. They only won like one game when Jimmy Butler was out,
and they had home. I mean, everyone had home court advantage over the Heat. But the Knicks had home court. That was
actually a really cool story because actually that was me rubbing in Matt's face because he was like, I don't really like basketball because you kind of know who's going to make the finals. I've never heard of someone in 8th seed go all the way to the finals. And then I was like, the Heat just did it.
The Heat just did it. And the Knicks did it in the 90s. I mean, it's very, very rare.
It is rare.
It's super, super rare.
But it happens.
And the way for it to happen, and it's true of any sport, is like the Heat. The Heat shouldn't have been an 8 seed last year. They were an 8 seed because they had a bunch of injuries, and then they
weren't even 8 seed. I forgot they were 8 seed, right?
They weren't even technically the 8 seed, right? Weren't they?
I think they're like 9th. They were in the play-in tournament and won that tournament and got in.
Mm-hmm. And they lost the game in the tournament. So I guess they were in the 7-8. They lost.
Yeah.
And then they won the next one.
That's what it was.
Which makes them the 8.
Yeah. The play-in tournament is so weird. The trade today was like the trade deadline, and it was like really boring and nothing happened. It's just because everyone's like, well, we can make the play-in, because there's no teams like, all right, we're gonna punt to next season and just sell shit.
Yeah.
So it was a really boring trade. It was just a lot of role players getting exchanged, basically.
Right. Yeah, they can't trade the great players. So it had anything that when they do stuff like that, it's to keep teams from tanking.
Yeah.
Which that's true, but it also keeps teams that should be tanking from tanking.
Some teams should tank. The Pistons shouldn't think that they're. Yeah. The Bulls haven't made a trade in 3 years.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
Really?
They haven't done anything at the trade deadline in 3 years. I just read that today. And it's like, well, because they just think that they have the great play. Like they're on all these bad contracts with all these quote unquote star players that they think are worth something.
Right.
And they think they're being good negotiators. Was like, if you have no movement on your team and you suck, that's not good negotiating.
Yeah, and they might be living in the past a little bit. Which is what a lot of teams do.
Yeah,
we're the Bulls.
Right,
we can't tank. We're the Bulls.
Right. Yeah, the Bulls are a weird one because like the Lakers bounce back after like their dynasties every time, and the Celtics bounce back.
Yeah.
But the Bulls just had Michael Jordan, and ever since then they've just sucked.
Right, they had the greatest dynasty of all
time, and they're like,
but it was just based off of 2 players, really. Yeah.
3.
Yeah, it was based off that team.
It was a good team, but it was Michael Jordan.
It was Michael Jordan.
And the coaching. Great coaching, too.
Exactly, right? It was just a perfect storm.
But I always wonder, like, how come they never got it together after that? Like, you'd think that their franchise got so much, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they had Rose, right? So they had some years where they were relevant. Even those years, they weren't great.
Right.
They just had a really great player.
Right, sure, exactly.
But even he was never the type of player that could carry a team to winning at all.
That's such a bummer.
Yeah,
that's a bummer. That because I do like. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would like for the because it sucks when like a great team just doesn't like get it together, or like a storied franchise team. It was kind of like what the Knicks were until like the last 3 or 4 years. It was just kind of like Jesus.
Well,
this is such a great like historic beloved franchise, and they're just like fucking up a lot.
Yeah, they're tough. They're up and down in terms of because they were great in the 70s and
90s,
and then they had some great years in the 90s, and then they worked. A pretty massive embarrassment into the 2000s, like with Marbury.
Yeah. Ever since I was growing up, it's always been the fucking like when I moved here. Actually, everyone just was like the fucking Knicks. God damn it.
Right. Because they're MSG. It's the most famous arena in basketball.
Yeah,
and
it's New York.
And really. The Knicks being that bad, it's not good for basketball. Like it would be much better for basketball if the Knicks were good. They are they're definitely it's New York, so it would be nice if they were good sometimes.
Well, even when they're bad, the tickets are really expensive because it's like we got to go to Madison Square Garden and see the Knicks. I mean, they're the I'd say right after the Yankees, it's the Knicks are the most I don't know, popular kind of franchise in New York, right?
Yeah, I would say so, and even I would be willing to not like. They're pretty even, but the Knicks are easily the more popular basketball team, as opposed to the Yankees. Yes, they're the more popular baseball team, but there's a lot of huge Mets fans.
That's true.
The Mets are a really popular team.
Yeah,
the Nets. No one gives a fuck about the Nets.
Yeah.
The Nets are not. The Nets are not.
They're
a real
kind
franchise.
of a non-factor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't.
I like them
factor
just because
into-
they're cheap tickets.
Oh yeah, like if I'm going to a basketball game, I'd prefer to go to a Nets game.
I can pretty much I'm saving up to go to a Knicks game this year with Etan Levine.
Right. I've been to one Knicks game, and we were in the nosebleeds for $75.
Yeah, I know. I'm like seeing $80 tickets to see them play the Pistons, which is like one of the worst teams in the NBA.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like, this is a great deal.
Whoa, not bad.
$90 to in the fucking
to like barely be able to see it.
Yeah, but the experience is great. I went once with Matt, and it was like an incredible experience.
Yeah, it was a party. Like the time I did go,
it's a party.
It was like it makes you. It was what I thought of what basketball games would be like. Like when I watched
Space Jam.
Space Jam.
Yeah,
like where it's like
it's so true. Well,
yeah.
Doesn't Space Jam take place in MSG, or am I wrong?
Not take place. I mean, it takes place in Looney Tune Land.
That's true. But the first part, where Charles Barkley's in it.
There's definitely parts in MSG, and I wonder also if maybe it was filmed in MSG.
I think it was.
Yeah, probably.
Or
was.
maybe.
There's a good chance it was. And Patrick Ewing's in it. So.
Oh yeah, yes, that's right.
So there's definitely parts that are filmed in MSG.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the entire thing is. But I'm sure.
Yeah, Spreewell went to the Knicks right after he choked the Warriors coach.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like something that players do.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. But yeah, that's what it became is that players would almost half retire to the Knicks. Even Carmelo Anthony. Did that to a certain degree. But he had some good years.
I think LeBron wants to go to the Knicks. Did you see that when he came? He just came to MSG last week, and he was wearing like shoes with Knicks colorways, and he kept going like "LeBron's in the garden," like he was screaming that everywhere. Yeah. And during his post game, he was wearing like a Knicks towel. I'm like, you are such a passive aggressive little bitch because he hates being on the Lakers right now.
Oh yeah. Well, what is the trade deadline passed?
Yeah, it's over.
It's already passed. Yeah.
And the Lakers didn't do shit.
Yeah,
neither the Warriors, but whatever.
Of course, they should have traded him. They should have traded LeBron.
Well, they're gonna wait till the offseason, and he's gonna be like, trade me or blow this up or get me someone better. He does this every year where he's just like whining.
Yeah.
He's like, it's funny. He's so passive aggressive. He like tweeted out an hourglass emoji, and then they're interviewing him. I was like, what do you think about your team? And he's like, I think I'm playing very good, and I just care about what's going on in the locker room. I'll leave that to interpret how you want. it's like we already get you're being cryptic.
Yeah,
dude.
right.
And then he's like, he's about to leave, and he like turns around. And he's like, I'm being cryptic.
He said that? Oh.
Not quite, but he was like, he like paused, turned around to leave, and then he was just like, I'll leave that to interpret how you want to interpret.
Right. Because he doesn't want to be cryptic. Like he
wants to, but he's like, just in case it wasn't clear, that was passive aggressive.
Well, I guess more what I mean is he wants to be straightforward.
Right, he wants to be like, I fucking hate this team.
I don't like it
I hate the coach.
And I want to get traded.
Yeah.
So he really wants to not be cryptic.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll be barely cryptic because I'm basically just telling you what
That's
I
true.
feel. Yeah.
But I've noticed a lot of players that act like politicians even when things are going bad behind the scenes. So they're like, we just have a great team, and it's all about, I guess that's more the coach, but a lot of the players too when they do those.
Well, at least even if they are doing really poorly and more than poorly, like they're sucking it up, and like even if the organization is crumbling beneath you, you want to know that your star player isn't going to throw you under the bus.
Yeah,
completely.
Which Giannis did to fucking his coach. You see that? They fired the Giannis was like, I don't like the coach.
Yeah.
And they just like unceremoniously fired him, even though they're like second in the East or whatever.
Yeah, and they've been great for years.
I know, and now they're losing with the new guy. So
yeah, man. I mean, it's not good. No matter what your situation is, it's usually not a good thing to fire your coach mid-season.
Yeah. It seems like a really. To me, it honestly seems like a really weird. It literally must just be that Giannis like personally did not like him, and that's why they fired him.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah. These guys are. I mean, That's why I like the NBA. It's very like soap opera-y.
Yeah.
My favorite is this time of year in the off season when they're just like it's very gossipy. It's like, did you hear that Dame went to Milwaukee? You know what I mean? It's like very like, he's not gonna like that. You know,
because they run the league. The players do.
They do, and there's actually a lot of controversy about that. Like they're saying the league is worse because it's player driven, and some of the teams are like underperform because players don't know how to like build a team and stuff.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it happened in football with Aaron Rodgers trying to build a team, and everyone said, he's not a GM.
Right.
And it's just, and it happens in the NBA.
Yeah, they call LeBron Le GM sometimes too.
Right.
Which team did Aaron Rodgers try and build? The Jets. Yeah.
Which
that was hilarious.
LeBron though, over the course of his career, for the most part, was a terrible.
He's made a lot of bad moves.
Terrible.
Weirdly.
Yeah.
Well, because that's the thing. I think like him and Kevin Durant just both like moved around to try and get rings, and never like built a great team from the look the Celtics. They drafted Tatum and Brown, and now they're great.
Yeah.
It's almost like I think that like ring chasing era is kind of over. Like you kind of like just got to be with a team and try and grow it.
Yeah, it's not going to work. I guess. Yeah, I mean a few teams nailed it, right? The Heat nailed it.
Yeah.
And really, the Warriors didn't even really do that. They did build a team, and then they got the best one. Effectively the best player in basketball.
Right.
So you can.
Warriors kind of did both.
They did both
because they won 2 rings with just their homegrown guys, and they run 2 rings with the ring chaser.
Right, but you had this core of a great team, and then you added a superstar. What they didn't do, which is what a lot of the teams do who are chasing rings, is they basically trade away their whole team.
Yeah.
And then they get 3 superstars.
Yeah.
Which is what the Nets did.
Yeah. Clippers are doing that now, and it seems to actually be working.
It's working.
But the Nets is the best example of that just not working at all.
That was the most bizarre thing, and I am like I'm glad I have a basketball expert here, and my connection to basketball is more just I'm just a huge sports fan. So I keep generally well connected with it as much as I can.
Yeah, for sure.
But watching the Nets, they had that year before they went and got all those guys.
Yeah.
And they actually were good.
Yeah. They were like a
really fun team.
Yeah, they were known for like dancing a lot and they were just like a scrappy, fun, homegrown team.
Right. And then they said, "Oh wow, we have some good clout in the NBA now, so we can use this to get some studs and chase a championship."
Yeah.
So what they did was they used what they had, but they traded all of them away.
Yeah.
Just to get
Kevin Durant
and Kyrie.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't make any sense. It's like if you have this product and then you get rid of it, you trade it for something else.
Yeah.
It's like you should be trying to add to it, which is the Nets obviously did it in the absolute wrong way.
At the time, it seemed like because at the time that I remember, because as a Warriors fan, I remember very vividly how this happened. But yeah, so I actually just watched like a little documentary on this, so I'm a little familiar with what happened. Cool. They had this like great homegrown like team, and the NBA like fell in love. Like the Nets are not a very well liked franchise, but they were really good at like. There were a bunch of young guys who were winning and like were good at like putting on a show on the bench, and were just like super stoked on the team, so people were into it. And so then Durant, there was like a big ego blow up between him. Durant's very sensitive, and I think he got a lot of. But the narrative at the time, because a lot of people just hated the Warriors. There's a lot of like Durant carried you guys. Steph sucks. I think I went to Durant. He's like, well, I'm gonna show these guys that I don't need the Warriors, and also I deserve to be Finals MVP. All this stuff. I'm gonna build a new team, and it'll be centered around me. I'm not gonna be the second guy. I'm gonna be the guy, and I'm gonna build a new team, and I'm gonna show that I'm the reason why we won all these championships. Right. I don't know that for sure, but that's what I think. I also think there was some problems in the locker room that I'm not privy to.
Yeah.
But I think it was an ego-driven move, and at the time it looked like a really. It was like there was so much hype behind it. It looked really cool. The Nets never had a big star before like that. I remember because it happened like right when I moved here, and I was excited for it, but I also couldn't afford tickets to see it. But then they just barely. Like there was just so many bad circumstances in a row that happened, and actually, when they played together, they were really good.
Yeah, they were dominant.
Yeah,
they undressed teams.
Yeah, they just had really bad luck in the playoffs with like a couple things. One of them was like Kevin Durant. I think he had a game winner, but the refs overturned it because his shoe was like barely over the three-point line. And there's a big debate because they're like, well, if he is the size like 14 feet, if that was that player, then he wouldn't be over. It was like that close.
Yeah.
So his size feet like cost them the whole fucking
Yeah.
playoffs.
The rubber toe of his sneaker.
Something like that.
Right.
And then like Harden, like the other time they came close in the playoffs, like Harden got just like brutally injured, and Kyrie was out because of the vaccine shit. And it's a shame. And then COVID was in the middle of all of it. Whoops, sorry. So that was totally a COVID casual. It's actually a fascinating saga, that one. But that's the problem with Kevin Durant. He's chased so many rings. He doesn't really have like a home team that loves him.
Yeah.
The Warriors are probably the closest, which is crazy because he only played there for 3 years.
Right. And
like Warriors fans still love him. I still love him.
But at least he succeeded in getting those rings. Nets fans did love him when they first got him, and would have loved him forever if they'd won the one ring.
And if he didn't leave in midseason or something. Right. Oklahoma City fans hate him because he promised to stay with them in free agency and then went to the Warriors. Yeah, so they completely fucked them.
Right. He's a cupcake. Yeah. That's what Westbrook called him. Called him a cupcake.
Yeah, because he's really sensitive.
Yeah.
I love him because he's always on Twitter. He's always in like Twitter Spaces and stuff. I saw a Twitter Space that said Kevin Durant is not top 5, and I joined it, and Kevin Durant was in there arguing with the guy. He's like, this is the problem with the people who talk about the game these days.
Yeah.
So he actually does seem like a sweet guy, and like, but he's also like, I think he's one of those guys who kind of lets ego and sensitivity get to him and just never. And it was the era of LeBron ring chasing and stuff. But now you look at like guys like Embiid or Giannis. They're staying in Philly and Milwaukee. Even Butler's staying. It's like like the era of just like trying to find the biggest. I don't think the super team thing works anymore.
Right.
Except for ironically the Clippers, but they're such like a throwback. That whole team's like the Expendables.
Yeah.
The Expendables.
Yeah, it's barely even a super team.
Yeah.
It feels more like it's almost like like you said, the Expendables. It's kind of the retreads of a super.
5 years ago would have been a super team.
Yeah, because Westbrook kind of fell from grace.
He did.
So the fact that he's now on a super team. Is he though? Same thing with the Heat. You had Chris Bosh. He was a great player, but for a casual fan like myself, I didn't think Chris Bosh was much of a superstar at all.
Right.
I'm told by big basketball fans like, oh no, he was awesome.
Yeah, he was great.
He was an all-star. He was really great. Him being the third best player on the team is part of why they were so great.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. And those guys sometimes can be very unsung because they're like the third option, but on any other team they'd be the first.
You're right.
They're the opposite of Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
He was on the Warriors and now he went to the Wizards and he got booed by the Wizards last night because he scored 0 points, 25 minutes and got fouled out.
Right. Because he's asked to do more now because
he's the first. He's a star of the team.
Right.
And he has like $120 million contract or something, and the Wizards really thought they could get something going, and he's just like just chucking up shots.
And it's just that's not gonna be what wins you games.
No,
they do things like that to sell tickets,
right?
Thinking, oh well, at least the fans will be happy. I bet if the owner got a lie detector test, it's like, the reason why he was so great is because of the team he was on. He's gonna come here and he's not gonna be that good. And owners say things like that, and they get eviscerated when they say shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's true. Like a player is good in a system, but the fans don't care about that, especially in the off season. They think spend money and get us players that we want to see.
Right.
Which
I see why it was like that on paper, because it's like, okay, if they're trying to tank and rebuild, this is like the perfect guy because he'll be flashy and make crazy shots and will be terrible.
Yeah, and he's probably still tradable.
Yeah, but he's not.
It's not that outrageous of a contract.
But the problem is he's like very cringe to watch sometimes playing basketball, so he's not pleasing anybody.
Yeah, which then it hurts his trade.
Trade value, and that's all they want.
They were thinking, oh well, let's get him. This isn't actually that bad of a contract. Someone's going to want him in a trade, even if we stink.
And now he's like, no one probably wants him. But maybe he'll get better. Maybe he'll build his trade value. But it's just, the Wizards are just so fucking cursed. It's amazing.
Right.
Very aggrieved franchise.
Yeah,
but I think they will win the finals. I just bet $3,000 that the Wizards will win. Yeah, and I did a parlay that Jordan Poole win MVP.
Oh, nice. How much did you bet?
$300,000. Wait, let me call my bookie. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hey, could you put $5,000 more on Jordan Poole?
You're right.
All right, thanks.
That's what you want to do. That's
Yeah.
how you do stocks too. Is when something goes down, you put more money.
I know. Yeah, buy low.
Buy low.
Nobody knows. He's hustling.
That's right.
They're hustling the NBA.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the Super Bowl
Yeah, let's
a little
talk
bit?
about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. So I only. Yeah, as I said, I'm not a huge football guy as much. I kind of like cursory pay attention.
Right.
Especially because the 49ers are good. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I like all the guys on there.
Right.
It's funny. They went to a Warriors game and George Kittle hugged Steph Curry, and they're about the same size. I'm like, that's hilarious because George looks huge on TV in NFL and Steph looks tiny.
Yeah.
But that's the size difference in the
Right.
two
And how
sports.
tall are they?
I think they're both 6'2" or 6'3".
Oh, really?
Maybe
Yeah.
6'4".
Yeah. Because you look at NBA players and there's plenty of 6'7", 6'8" guys.
7 foot.
Yeah. Who which is wild. Man.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it wasn't that long ago that 7 foot was just the massively tall guys.
Yeah.
And now
it's like a common
Now
bit,
there's
yeah.
there are forwards who are 7 feet tall.
Yeah, it's
and who
crazy.
can still move.
NBA is too big. I don't.
They're
This is too big.
They're all too big. Every sport, every athlete. I was watching. I guess it was one of the football games, and just thinking like, man, these guys are so much bigger than me. Like,
I know.
It's so outrageous.
I
How
know.
much bigger they are. Than
I
me.
thought that too because I was watching Chris Paul looks like the tiniest man ever, and I looked up his height, like, oh, I'm only an inch taller than that guy.
Right.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And he's just like perfectly built. His arms.
Yeah,
Just,
he looks great.
Yeah,
I want to fuck Chris
he
Paul.
looks great.
He's a hot piece of ass.
Yeah, he's moved. He's got some moves, dude.
So who do you got for the Super Bowl? Who are you rooting for, and who do you think will win?
So I guess it's hard for me to root against the Chiefs because last year I was rooting so hard for them because they were playing the Eagles.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So there is.
I was rooting for them because they were playing the Eagles too.
Yeah. So there's
Eagles fans are. If you're an Eagles fan, settle down. You guys are dickheads.
They're despicable.
They're very proud of it too.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're like,
Yeah.
look, if you're one of the dickheads, it's fun. I'm like, yeah, I bet.
Right.
They were like throwing snowballs at 49ers fans' heads during one of the games. I'm like, guys,
Right.
don't do that. Just two random guys sitting
Yeah.
wearing the jersey.
And they don't do anything about it in the stadium, I guess, right?
No, because it's part of because people in Philly are just mean.
Yeah, but even you'd think that the security guards would try to do something to keep that from happening.
No, they're like, that's boys being boys.
Yeah, like that's Philly for you.
It's Philly for you. Yeah, the fucking security guards are like, yeah, let's show those fucking.
right. They're all actively Eagles fans, wearing Eagles jerseys, like watching the game, not even watching what's happening in the stands like they're supposed to.
It was funny. Jerry Rice was on the field during that Eagles game, and I love Jerry Rice. He's always around my hometown.
Yeah.
And he was just at the Eagles game, like walking around, just like with a very flashy chain, like waving his rings in front of fans, and they're all just like, boo! And he was loving it. He was like,
yeah. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, and he'll be at the Super Bowl. So
I played his son in basketball once.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad said, he was coaching my dad, and he said, I want you on him like white on rice, and he's very proud of that.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice is always around. Jerry Rice and Steve Young both live around where I went to school. Jerry Rice, he's just every Thanksgiving the hotel that my family stays at, like the visiting. Jerry Rice is always in the lobby, just hanging out, like kind of wanting to be seen, like right at the fucking bar,
oh, cool.
like in the middle, like not like facing the bartender, like sitting, like looking around.
Yeah.
One time he cut me off in traffic.
Jerry Rice?
Yeah. I was like, oh.
So he lives in San Francisco.
Yeah, he lives not just like in the suburbs, like where I like 20 minutes south.
Wow.
Or 45 minutes south, like Palo Alto.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, he's like literally from where my
So you're
where my
neighbor.
dad lives is Jerry Rice lives very close to my dad.
You're neighbors with.
I'm neighbors with
Jerry.
and Steve Young.
Who? Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Steve Young. Yeah.
Steve Young's daughters went to my rival, go to the private high school next to my high
Currently.
school. Yeah, and they play football.
Yeah, there was. I'm blanking on his name, but one of the Mets closers from like 20 years ago. I played basketball against his son. Yeah. And
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's always fun.
Right.
You know, it's like, what did the son do? But still, it's like, damn, that guy's dad is.
Yeah,
famous.
it's like he's a great closer.
Yeah.
Your dad's a great closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now
I just ran into Nathan Orton. Speaking of the devil.
Oh, right, Nathan Orton. Yeah.
Shout out Nathan Orton.
Well, yeah. Astoria, man. There's a lot of comedians.
A lot of stories.
A lot of stories in Astoria, especially.
Where do you stand on like people hate on Brock Purdy a lot? Like, what do you think about that?
I really like it's funny because I think people probably really liked him because he's the last,
story is amazing.
Last pick in the draft.
Yeah.
So it's
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. So it's easy to like him. And then once he's great, then you're like, oh, this fucking superstar.
Fuck this guy.
This fucking superstar asshole.
Yeah. I think his career would make a good movie.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a crazy underdog story. When
I'm
you
sure.
Think about
Yeah,
it.
it probably will. Because Kurt Warner had a movie about him.
Really?
And he was I think he was undrafted, Kurt Warner, and then he actually had to go to play arena football for a few years, and then ended up winning a Super Bowl.
Oh, wow!
So yeah, Brock Purdy's definitely within that same.
That's cool.
Within that same category.
Do you see Patrick Mahomes' dad got arrested for a DWI?
Yeah,
in Vegas.
I did see that in Vegas.
Yeah,
so he's there
he got there early. He got there like a week early to party.
Yeah. He got there before they even won the championship game.
Yeah,
he's like, I bet they're gonna win.
Yeah, he's like, Vegas, I'll see you there. And like,
the game's in Vegas. He didn't even know.
I know.
It was just a coincidence that the game.
Yeah, he just is always in Vegas.
He's like, oh really?
Oh,
that's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Patty boy.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes kind of sounds like Kermit the Frog a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't you think? He has a weird voice.
Hey everybody. Go ahead and drink Gatorade.
Yeah.
I see that commercial a lot with him and Kelsey.
Right.
Here's another problem with watching sports live. You see the same fucking commercials over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Here are the two commercials. These commercials are my biggest shit list. At BK, have it your way. You rule. Fuck whoever wrote that song. Number two, the fucking Wendy's commercial where the guy looks like Dan Carney. Like he's like, hey, we're the bag boys. Bag boys,
yeah,
what you gonna do?
Yeah.
I fuck that too.
Yeah.
They shouldn't keep rerunning commercials that are funny because the joke gets so old if you see it more than once a day.
Yeah. They should be writing a new joke once every 2 weeks. You know,
or something, or just have a different kind of commercial. Like
or
if you're
just
gonna
not have a funny one.
Yeah, I think so. People are buying commercials during live sporting events anymore.
Right.
You just unfortunately see the same ones repeated a lot.
Yeah,
so they're really annoying. And they're all fast. They're all food now. They're all food commercials.
Yeah. Well, we were actually talking. Me and Matt were talking the other day about how so many of the commercials are trying to make a statement. You know,
yeah.
Like you watch a lot of the Budweiser will probably do something where it's like, thank you, New York, or something like that. Like they did the one for 9/11 where the horse bowed to New York.
Oh yeah.
So
the one 3 years ago, 3 or 4, I would say the last 2 years are better, but I remember the Super Bowl commercials were really message heavy.
Yeah.
During the Trump years.
Yes.
Oh, the 2020 one was the worst. I think actually, or the 2019 one. Where one of them was like T-Mobile. It was just like a bunch of diverse babies on a floor, and they're like T-Mobile. Diversity. I'm like, what the fuck does T-Mobile have to do with diversity? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, they'll probably. Yeah, you're right.
They kind of phased that out though last couple years.
They were able to phase it out. I'm sure there'll be a handful.
Yeah.
But it seems like the ones that never do anything with a cause are like the worst products that you can imagine. So it's all like like betting apps. Like, this is just for fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're trying to make me a gambling addict.
Right.
Whereas the ones for food think, well, food's okay, so we can talk to you about how, or beer. I guess part of it is because beer is a negative, like it has a bad connotation to it.
If you drink responsibly.
Yeah, and then if you drink exactly like us, like our heinies.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I'm gonna put this light on. We have a little more time.
Yeah.
It's getting dark.
For sure.
Yeah. So, so it seems like the beer companies think, well, we can't just be telling people chug a beer.
Right. Yeah.
They have to have.
They used to in the aughts, remember?
Yeah.
And the aughts it was like, what's up? Yeah.
Let's get fucked up.
I get knocked down.
Yeah.
Budweiser, get fucked up and forget about your wife. And twins. Remember that one?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Damn, the aughts were a great time.
They were.
Now it's like, make a difference.
Yeah.
Heineken.
Budweiser cares about black.
Heineken, do not look up who founded our company.
Drink it in a Volkswagen. With Hitler.
Volkswagen. Yeah, don't look up who founded Volkswagen. folks.
Yeah. Well, they made tanks for them, didn't they?
Yeah, something like that. It was like Hitler's idea. He was like, let's make a car.
Yeah.
It was like the company that made Volkswagen was like it was like Hitler was like on the part of like just like the committee to help like figure out like the schematics and shit like that.
Right.
But they also helped us get to the moon, the Nazis, so not all bad.
Oh yeah. That's if anything, all good.
Yeah, I would say not no notes, Nazis.
They have a lot of good things. A lot of good people on both sides.
Yeah,
as they say.
many people on both sides. Yeah, so I asked you a few. So if people don't think Purdy's all like who's the best player on the Niners? Then is it McCaffrey?
McCaffrey's the man. Yeah, like that's the thing. To answer your question further about who I want to win, I usually just when it's a game I don't necessarily quote unquote care who wins.
Yeah,
I care about watching the game for sure. But last year, Chiefs Eagles, I was like, I hate the Eagles so fucking much.
Yeah.
I need the Chiefs to win.
Yeah.
I was rooting for the Chiefs as hard as I would have rooted for the Giants, where I was like, get the yard, get that extra.
Yeah.
I was like screaming.
That's
at the
hilarious.
TV. Yeah,
just because they say, of course.
Because I wanted the Eagles to lose so bad. This year, I like both teams. Which is my favorite way to watch a Super Bowl, other than the Giants being in it, is to watch it where...
When was the last time the Giants were in the Super Bowl?
2011.
That's not too bad.
It's not that bad. Football,
Did they win?
They did.
Was that against the 49ers or no?
They beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah. So I don't mind the Niners myself, and the Niners deserve a win. Hopefully that stops. The Niners deserve a win because they... lost.
They got to the Super Bowl twice, and they haven't won since '95.
Yeah, they've gotten twice in recent memory, and they've been awesome.
Yeah,
a lot of these.
They keep being in the playoffs and losing.
They keep being like one of the best teams in football, and then just
getting fucked somehow.
They
almost blew it twice this year.
Yeah,
those are two like heartache or what is it? Heart attack games. For Niners fans.
Well, yeah, and even like last year in particular, they didn't choke it away. They didn't have a quarterback.
Right,
Their quarterback just kept getting hurt. So the Niners, I love McCaffrey.
Yeah, I do too. That's fun. That
that we got a white running back.
Yeah. So well, just that the running back's the best part of the team, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
And he's also the best running back in football. He's not just a good running back.
Right.
He's the best running back in football, and he's a sick receiver.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
a force. He's the fucking man.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kittle is great, and Debo, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of really just good,
good,
well-rounded team.
They're stacked. So watching their defense, I remember I've watched a decent amount of their games this year because they've had a decent amount of games nationally televised.
Yeah,
because they're awesome.
Right.
So I watched Niners Eagles earlier in the year, rooting again very hard for the Niners.
Yeah.
And
that was a great game.
It was a great game.
Yeah.
Where the Niners had an injury to one of their defensive players, and they said, "Oh yeah, this guy is like a first-team All-Pro." The good thing is that they have like two more of them on defense.
Yeah.
They were just talking about how their defense is loaded.
Yeah, sure.
So it's cool to watch such a loaded team.
Sure.
But I will say it's also cool to watch a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who just turns it on.
It's like just Mahomes and Kelsey basically on the Chiefs, and like that is cool too. Yeah. Mahomes, they asked him what athlete to touch on a boat. They asked Mahomes what athlete he would most compare himself to. Guess who he said?
Derek Jeter.
Steph Curry.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. That makes sense.
I like that.
You would like that. And but
by the way, on the way here, I was walking, but I was like, I was already running late, so this is gauche. But I saw there was just like a billboard outside that said "Goat Curry," and I was like, "You're damn right, he is."
Yeah.
I'll show you.
I saw the picture that you posted. I was like, oh, that must have been like right now.
Yeah,
that must have been, which is totally fine. I want you to be comfortable.
Thanks, man.
That was very funny.
But that's cool.
He's the GOAT.
I asked Matt, so I kind of learned more about the NFL. I was like, can you explain this in NBA terms? All this stuff. And he's like, well, if you think about it, they're kind of like the 95 Bulls, where they're very dominant.
Right. It
was really just one star player who But yeah, he said he told me like Mahomes is like probably one of is maybe the best of all time, or is it still Tom Brady?
Yeah, he's approaching it, and he has a lot of similarities to Brady, where Brady would have a season where he was good. He never had a bad season, but he would have certain seasons where you thought, maybe he's not as invincible as we thought.
Also from the Bay Area.
That's
San Mateo.
And then the playoffs would start, and he just turned it on.
Yeah.
Which is what Mahomes seems to be able to do also, because this past year he was kind of, he was good but not great.
Yeah, they said the Chiefs were they were saying the Chiefs might not make it. Like they were saying, like right, they were saying Taylor Swift was like ruining the team or something.
Yeah, they at times it looked like they were gonna fuck. It looked like they were gonna fuck themselves.
It would have been cool if the Ravens won. I would have enjoyed that, but
yeah. Well, I have a headliner set this Saturday in Maryland, it would have been cool if Baltimore had won.
I love Stav's character, and it's funny that it went all the way to the top. Like they actually use it.
Oh, that's right.
Like with the actual like official Ravens, like Twitter and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would have had some happy. But now I feel okay about it because now my opener is going to be, hey everybody, fuck Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, yeah. So I'll win them over that way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Who's the better coach between Shanahan and Andy Reid? Right, that's that's interesting. I mean, you got to go Andy Reid because he's the one who's won a little bit more. And he looks like Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, he does.
Your diabetes.
Yeah, I think Wilford Brimley was in an episode of Yellowstone I was watching.
Oh, nice, hell yeah!
I think it was like his last acting performance.
That tracks.
Yeah.
That seems like a show he'd be in.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and they even said like, "Rest in peace, Wilford Brimley, a cowboy, a great actor, and a damn good friend."
Oh,
yeah.
Well, he was like so near the end. He was like, "Pepperidge Farm remembers." All right, cut. Wilford, stop bringing up Pepperidge.
Okay, that's not the line. That's great. We'll use that too. We'll use that. But we need you to say this line though.
That's funny. So that'd be interesting. A more well-rounded team versus like the two best. That's actually kind of an interesting matchup.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited for it.
People were really mad about it on Twitter. I saw
about which part.
Just that it was Chiefs Niners. Everyone seemed to be rooting for Ravens Lions.
Yeah, I think people don't know what they want.
Yeah.
Because when the Niners were losing to the Lions last 2 weeks ago, I did have the thought like, oh, it'd be cool for the Lions to be in the Super Bowl. But then as the Niners started coming back, I'm like, the Niners are the better team. I want to see the better team, especially McCaffrey.
Yeah,
the fucking man, and it is. It's a stud matchup.
Yeah,
it is.
It seems like
it's the best team in the NFC all year versus one of the great dynasties in the history.
I'm actually really. I mean, of course, I'm excited. I always like when the Niners. Last time actually the Niners in the Super Bowl was right before COVID, and I got together with a lot of San Francisco comics to watch it, and they all moved away about a month or two later.
Yeah. You and Marty.
I might hit up Marty and ask what he's doing, but he's a way bigger. He's like hardcore Niners.
Oh yeah. But you'd be good for him to have around.
Yeah, and
he needs you around.
Yeah. And
he needs a San Fran.
And I know enough.
Yeah.
You know?
And you want them to win, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know more than I have in previous years when.
So obviously Warriors are number one for you, and then it goes with the Niners.
Niners probably number two,
and then
Giants.
Yeah. So right, and that's kind of the way I am.
In offense, and fuck the Raiders, they're scary.
Yeah. Right. And they're Vegas now anyway.
I know. When I was a kid, my dad took me to a couple Raiders games, and I hated it because there was all these fat guys dressed up in black, or just painted. They paint themselves black and like angry Latino guys. It's very, very scary.
Yeah. But the way you are with the Niners is how I am with like the Knicks and,
and
the New York Rangers.
Right. You keep tabs, but you maybe don't.
And really, even when they are in the playoffs, I'm like, come on, New York, baby. You know.
No, it's hard not. I was telling you earlier. It's like. My whole family is in a group chat texting about and my mom doesn't watch until the playoffs. My whole family's in a group chat. This whole playoffs is texting about it live as the games are going. So I was like, I'm gonna follow along.
You put up your like San Francisco flag that you like the city flag.
Yeah. So I have a friend actually who I just got a high school friend who I just got drinks with, and he was saying that Jerry Rice might be the best NFL player of all time.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah. And I've heard that.
Wow.
and it sounds about right.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
He was dominant. He was a stud.
That's cool.
I think he won how many Super Bowls did he win? Was it? It might have been
3.
5. Yeah, 3 or 4.
I think it was 4.
Like I think it was 4.
I remember he was having 4 rings.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Maybe it was 5 actually.
Yeah, because Steve Young also won one. So between him and Joe
Montana,
I was Rice on all 5. That's what I So we'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
I answered it in the comments, but I think that's
Yes.
about it. We'll start doing plugs if you have anything.
Yeah. Also, Barry Bonds. It's okay to do steroids if the game is cool.
Right. So Barry Bonds and O.J. Simpson, good guys.
And also Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco.
Yeah. I like how
that's my baseball knowledge.
I like how I'm lumping in steroid users with a murderer.
Yeah. Well, they're equally fine. Well, they're all equally innocent of what they're accused of.
Exactly right.
Are we doing plugs?
Yeah, so what do you got coming up?
What About Rob podcast? Patrick's been on it. It was great with Marty.
That's right.
Wow, speak of the damn devil.
Mm-hmm.
Vote Trump, everybody. No, go 49ers. Dubs are bad this year, but maybe they'll be better.
Yeah, and they have a little chance of probably sneaking into the playoffs. Right?
It'd be nice to have a little playoff run.
Yeah.
I'd be sad if they. I think a lot of people be. Even though it's like the Niners in a way, I think people are like, oh, they're not in the playoffs this year.
Right.
I like seeing.
You want to see Steph Curry in the playoffs.
He's still the top. They still get the biggest ratings. And Steph's like the number 1 jersey still sold in the NFL or in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. Well, wasn't there even was it last year when it was Warriors Lakers in the playoff?
Yeah.
In the play-in tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's
and that was like the biggest second round. The Warriors got the biggest first and second round ratings in like the last 20 years or something.
And that's what
the second round was helped by the LeBron. It was like Steph versus LeBron. And so they actually went head to head a couple weeks ago, and it was like everyone was like game of the everybody was like game of the year.
Even though it's 2 bottom teams.
I know it's the 10th and it was at the time it's the 10th and 11th seed, but afterwards they're like that was fucking amazing because it went to double overtime.
Yeah.
And the Lakers won by 1 point because the refs love giving LeBron his free throws. He gets the whistle, as they say.
Yeah.
But they still play such fun basketball, and I think something would be missing if Steph didn't make the playoffs because he's still playing at such an elite level.
Yeah.
If he didn't make the playoffs in the last 3 years, it would be sad. So I'm just hoping for. I they're not contenders at all, but it'd be just nice to see him make a nice little playoff run. Maybe,
get into the first round, basically. Get into the real
a
first
second
round
exit would be nice. Or I'd be happy with that.
Like
I'll
a
say
real
that.
first round, right?
Yeah.
Like get into the actual.
Their last first round last year was Warriors Kings, and that's like one of the best playoff series I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And it got the rate it got, and so then the NBA scheduled like 5 Warriors Kings games during the regular season this year.
Yeah.
Oh, the Lakers Warriors game also got the most. Sorry, I'm being autistic. That got the most ratings of a regular season game in I think ever, if you don't count Christmas games. So it's like come on, Adam Silver, rig it for them. Everyone tells me the NBA is rigged. Just put them in there.
The NFL rigged it to get Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They did kind of. Everyone was like mad at that whistle, right? Mahomes' whistle.
They're a great team, and the plays really did happen. Any of those whistles really did happen, but it's crazy that they managed to get exactly what they wanted.
Yeah,
Taylor Swift.
That's so funny.
It's wild how well it worked out for the NFL.
Yeah. I heard NFL refs. Sorry, this is the last one thing. NBA refs suck. They're awful, and like it's a big problem league wide. I've heard NFL refs like have day jobs. Like they don't that's not their main gig.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, at the very least, they have off-season jobs.
Yeah, because there's not that many games.
Right. They ref other games at the very least.
That's funny.
Even if it's like high school, like high-end high school games, they'll ref and stuff.
That's the one thing I like about football versus basketball is like every game seems to mean a lot more.
Yeah. That is nice. And this show meant a lot to me.
Thank you guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep extending. It was fun.
It was good. It was good. We were that's what it's all about. Is give people. Get people to talk about what they actually care about. But yeah, so that's the show. Thanks everybody for watching and subscribing. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.